everybody, and welcome back to Dad Talk. We tried to go live a little bit ago. Let me tell you what happened. I got explicit permission from a band to use their music on Dad Talk in the intro. And I was afraid it would happen. It got flagged as soon as we went live, and we lost all our viewers here on Facebook. We're going to get into your voicemails. We're going to talk about child support and some of the concerns you guys got. But I wanted people to hear this because it goes into the show. It's not just about a song. This is a friend of mine that's been mustering up the courage to share his story with you guys for quite a while. They was a very successful band. He was part of the system when he was a child, found out he was adopted. And when he was, I think, about 7 years old, his mother committed suicide. I want you to go back to the conversation that we've been having over the past couple of weeks. Men aren't afraid to express their emotions. They're afraid of them being used against them. Now, people might see this guy as this big rock and roll guy, tough. He sounds angry, but all of his music is about that pain. He put the pain into his music. If you guys want to go check that out, it's called The Gift by the band 5 Bolt Main. It's my friend Chris Voles, who will be coming on here before too long, also the lead singer of the band Flaw. But I have permission to use all of the music that we're doing here, but I guess Facebook didn't know that. So we're back. We're going to get into your voicemails. Guys, really quick, especially since I had to restart the show. If you're watching this, like, share, and subscribe. It helps us get this message out, and it's an important one. Okay, also, we're in the holiday season. We've already sent Christmas out to 6 different families, and we're wanting to do it with more. There is a place to send it. Venmo, Dad Talk Today. 100% of the proceeds is going to go to Christmas. One of our brothers that might be facing some challenges this holiday season. I wish we could do it for everybody, but we can make a difference where we can. Okay, let's get into the show. I'm flying solo today. I've been sitting there trying to muster in my head, like, what are we going to talk about as it pertains to child support? You know, I'll be honest, this has been the number one topic that we've talked about. People are giving in their voicemails. They want people to know what this is like being a father having to pay into this system. Okay. Child support is one of the main reasons why the system is the way it is. Okay. It's all about money. I don't care what it is that we're talking about. Okay. I don't care what it is that we're talking about. It's always about money. It's how the system has been created. Okay. And so there is a lot of people that are upset about this. But again, men aren't afraid to express how they feel about it. They're afraid of it being used against them. So how could this conversation be used against them? When they talk out about child support and what they're going through, again, they're nothing but angry deadbeats that don't want to pay child support. They have created the stigmas and they have created this system to do nothing but profit off of your pain. You know, I could have became another statistic. I could have just went and fought inside the system. But I said, no, you're not profiting off of what I'm going through. You're not profiting off the pain of my family. They don't look at it that way. But that's exactly what's going on. That money that I'm paying you was from time that I sacrificed with my kids in order to be able to make that. And if I give it to you, I got to sacrifice more time with my kids. You try to keep it on the money because you want these guys to feel ashamed that if they talk about their situations, they're just not good dads. If you love your kids, you'll pay for it. It really was the perfect plan, wasn't it? And the silence is what has created this. Guys, I think this platform, one of the most important things that we've got to fight back at this, and I'll tell you why. There are so many people, dude, huh? Can you hear me better now? Somebody comment. Can you hear me better now? I'll just take the microphone off. Okay. What a challenge it is just to be able to come on here and talk to you guys about stuff like this. We done had one show cut, and now this is the same microphone that Joe Rogan uses. So we'll just roll it this way. Guys, we're talking about a topic here that is very, very important.
Okay. The social stigmas that came against these guys, I cannot tell you how important it is for shows like this where we come on and talk about these challenges. We've got to be able to break that narrative and stigma that is being used against you. Okay. And so I'm glad that you're speaking up. The whole thing is about telling guys your voice does matter. It's hard being on this screen sometimes doing what I'm doing because it's so easy to be like, if they want to discredit you, they find one little thing. That's what the cancel culture does. Okay. They don't want this topic to get out of there. So let's find any little thing that we can get to make this topic not relevant. I am very excited about next week. I've got one of the actors coming on. This is a guy that's been sitting on his story for over 10 years, 10 years, and it destroyed his career. He was accused of domestic violence. What was it? He was getting in his car trying to leave because the situation was getting escalated. And when he did, they come running after him. But he's been quiet on it. Now, think of how many of these situations end up on TMZ or end up on Dr. Phil somewhere where they can make ratings off of it. You think what we're going through right now is bad? Imagine being one of these dads that the whole world is watching. The whole world's watching what's going on. And unfortunately, that's what's going on with these guys. But we want them to speak. Well, is people going to listen to what they have to say? We're so quick to say, you're guilty. You're guilty. Think if you're a dad going through this system. Do you feel like you're innocent until proven guilty? No. Most of the time, you're going to be looked at as guilty until proven innocent. That's not the way our country is supposed to operate. And if you fight, you're going to pay dearly for it. You're going to pay dearly for it and probably still come out on the losing end. We've got to equip our guys with a voice, with a platform where they can come and speak about these issues. And it sucks because, again, here goes the second time we've started up the show. I want you to look at yesterday, man. You guys can say whatever you want, but let's talk about yesterday. I had my friend Kim Klasick on there. She's into politics, but I can tell you she's one of the ones that shows up when we talk about these issues where many of them will run, okay? She shared it to her page, 300,000. I had about 500,000 on my page. We ended up with 230 views. Now, how does that happen? You're telling me that nobody wants to hear about these conversations. I've got more voicemails than we do viewers sometimes. Why isn't our people getting this? Why? If you're watching this, if you're on Facebook, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and ding the bell so you're getting this, because I'm getting tired of trying to fight and feeling like no matter what we do, at some time you're going to cut it off. There is times, guys, where we start hitting that mark and then it's all of a sudden like something just, the bottom falls out. You get a censorship on your page or something goes on. And it really sucks. It really sucks. The cancel culture is going to come after this movement unlike anything you've ever seen. And when they get mad and they get angry, what you ever watched any of these shows where men's rights guys go on like Dr. Phil or somewhere? What happens? Every time the man goes to speak, somebody starts screaming over them. Don't get out your point because it makes me mad and I don't want you to talk. It's going to happen here. How many of you guys have said on Dad Talk, where are all these people coming from? Where are all these moms that are telling us to shut up and not listening to our battle coming from? Eric, do something. Administrator, but I don't want to block all women. Even if I had that, I wouldn't, because there's so many of these ladies out there, stepmoms, aunts. I could go on and on, guys, that are fighters behind this cause, and they are here wanting to echo your voice. It's the certain one that comes in here that wants to shut you up, and especially when we talk about child support. Okay, I'm gonna preach because that's how I do it. Some people don't like my style. Well, then don't watch. But that's how I'm going to tell it because I get very passionate about this. For everybody that is being a victim of this system, there's somebody out there that loves it. They love it. Imagine being a person because you went through a divorce. If your ex had enough money that you could live off of that money for the rest of your life as long as you don't get remarried. That's a great plan, isn't it? I don't want to be with him anymore, but I know he's got retirement. I know he's got this. He's got this. Let me get that. Let him work for the rest of his life, and then I'll have the kids. It is a perfect plan. That is evil. But there's many of them out there that love the system the way it is. And when you guys speak, they're going to come and they're going to try to shut you up. Sometimes sunshine is the greatest disinfectant. Let them get in here. Let them say what they want. But you guys don't back off of the conversation. Watch what you do, because censorship comes after you, okay? But I do want you to be voiceless. And as long as you guys are here and you're speaking and you're leaving those voicemails and saying, this is the topic we want you to cover, we're going to cover it. And I got some stuff coming up. We got some media going on, guys. How many of you have sat back and said, I don't feel like they represent us in the media? I feel like they don't speak about men's issues, because a lot of times they don't. Well, how do you change that? Then you make the media yourself. I'm planning on some media. I'll be going back out to Fort Worth, Texas at the end of next month, and we're putting out media like we've never had before. There's people that's been watching this calls, and they are wanting to put a spotlight on what you guys are going through. Finally, it feels like we get a little bit of respect. We had camera crews. We had makeup artists, guys. I got a costume designer, which is probably good, because I don't think they're going to let me keep this. So that's why I'm going through I was No Shave November. Now it's December. I'm just a normal guy. I am not the perfect dad. I'm not on here trying to make myself out to be something I'm not. But I'll tell you what I am. I was a guy that went through this system and felt meaningless, worthless. Nobody listened to me. And if you want to have a voice in this arena, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for that attorney. You're going to pay that child support. You're going to pay that alimony. Hey, if you haven't seen your kids in a while, guess what we're going to do? It's not good for you to just come back in their life. We're going to get a third party to come and sit down with you who the kids don't know either. And we're going to pay them so that they can sit with you while you see your kids. It's criminal what's going on here right now, guys. Criminal. And I've realized it takes a lot to get on the screen and doing what I'm doing right now, especially when you're having these technical difficulties like we're having right here, because I want this show to be the best that it can be for you guys, so it represents this movement. And I probably should have cut this feed and restarted again, because I'm going to have the first half of the video with messed up audio. But for those of you that are here and you're listening now, this one's going to be for you. I sit here every night and mull over my head. How do we get this issue forward? How do we get this issue forward? And it sucks sometimes. And you know what I think the answer is, guys? I don't care who's watching right now. If you're a guy that's been through this system, you try to do the co-parenting and you're facing these challenges, you got a lot of thoughts up here that the world don't know that battle that you're fighting. And that's why I say it's a little hard to be on the screen sometimes. So I'll go through these issues. And as I go through these issues myself, I'm like, I wonder if there's anybody else out there that can relate. And I'll just put it out there. You don't know how people's going to react to it. You don't know if they're going to relate or try to criticize. But it's crazy. The more that I have to sit there and like, is it okay for me to talk about this? Is it okay? Once it comes out, there's people saying, yes, that's my situation. That's my situation. How many of our guys are behind the front lines right now, just waiting for somebody to lead the charge? And that's the other part that sucks. If you're on here and you're fighting for it and the system isn't changing or you're not getting results, you're not doing something right. You're not doing something right. You should be doing something different. I don't like the way he's doing it. It's his fault. No. I've sacrificed time with my family, careers, retirement, everything to get behind this cause. I'm not going to be another number. I could go get a job and become another statistic, but that's the problem. Most of us are just trying to get through the day. Okay? We're just trying to get through the day, let alone fighting this multi-billion-dollar corporation that profits off the destruction of your family. They make those billions of dollars by making sure you pay and don't see your kids. And somebody might say, well, that's not exactly how it goes. Then you tell me, how does it go? You know, the good thing about this movement, whether it's research, statistics, data, whatever it is that you want, we've got it. We've got it. And kids do better when they have both parents. But let me tell you the other side of this in conversations that we need to get into, guys. If you're a divorced parent or you're a dad, sometimes there's a stepdad out there seeing your kid more than you are. But they want you to be a dad. What happens? If I don't think they should be dating right now, I don't think they should have a cell phone, I don't think they should be on social media as a young kid. Most of the time, he's just being controlling or he's being this. If you try, it's not listened to and it's used against you. And then after you've done it for so long and feel like nothing happens and then the system isn't giving you any results, what happens? Same thing. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So many of these guys that just sit back because they know if I say something, it just creates conflict. I go back to the conversation of these guys that are going through this and say, I just want peace. At some point in time, that reaching out in your kid for your kids or going through family court feels like a battle. You get exhausted from battle and fight and wars. And you say, I just want peace. And some of us get complacent. Well, that's going to be used against you too. There's a lot of guys out there that have went silent and just can't fight the war anymore and have fought the hardest that will be considered deadbeats. That's why that term pisses me off more than anything out there. Some of these guys have had to stop because they can't fight the battle anymore. There's some of these guys out here that are taking themselves out of this world because they can't fight that battle anymore. So if you got to pull back to keep yourself in here, I'll never shame one of my brothers. I know what that's like. Who does he got to talk to? Where's his resources? Guys, you're getting behind on child support. You got some resources that are going to help you on that child support? Yeah, they do. We're going to take your license. That's his resource. If I get behind and I still can't pay it, maybe I got injured at work, something's going on, they won't revise my child support. Maybe you was making good money last year and you're one of these salesmen. I got one of these stories coming up later on this week. This guy was making upwards of like $250,000 a year, and it was because he got a one-time bonus. Guess what happened? They based child support off of his bonus because they said that's his potential. Well, the reality was he was making more like $100,000 a year after his taxes, but he got signed up on the max because we want the max of what you can pay. And it crippled this guy and left him with $25 on his paycheck. And this is a guy, now I'm taking all of your money and you're getting a very little bit of time with your kid. Does that sound like a deadbeat dad that's not trying? Every day he wakes up, he goes and works that job that he could care less about to support that family, but now he's supporting somebody's lifestyle. He is supporting another man that's sitting in that house and raising his kid. And you want to talk to me about fatherless statistics? These guys only talk about the fatherless issue when it benefits them. That's what it is. They only talk about the fatherless issue when it benefits them or there's a school shooting because we need parents in there. Well, why the hell aren't you legislators doing anything about it? It's time to either put up or shut up, man. And I am ready for our people to get in here and to start fighting. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be hard making this content. Child support, it is a very, very controversial issue. But I thank each and every single one of you that's been keeping those voicemails coming through. I even tried to play the voicemails for Kim yesterday, and some reason she wasn't hearing them. So unfortunately, when we go live, these things are going to happen sometimes. But as you can tell, I'm fired up, man, because I've been hearing you out there, dads. I've been hearing you. I am you. Okay? I am you. And most of the time you hear me talking, it's not because I'm an expert or an attorney. I don't want to be any of those damn things because that's a field that's just as crooked as the court system. But I know what's going on in here. And it's time that the world heard what you've got to say. Let's go to Ethan Sheffield Sr. He said, what's crazy is when you're on the other side of the spectrum and have a custodial order and a support order, the rules that apply to men don't apply to women. My child's mom is on child support and hasn't paid $1, but I still allow him to see his mom and don't press her about money. We hear that all the time. Why is that not happening? Shouldn't the law be the law? They talk about equality. In this world, we are anything but equal. If you are men, I know we talk about fathers' rights here sometimes. I'll get occasionally the men that come in here and like, oh, you're talking about men's rights. You're not talking about fathers' rights. Men's rights are fathers' rights. They are human rights. Men's rights are children's rights. Let's get it right. Every time we hear those, it's just to cancel the conversation. This is why so many people try to come in here and take one little thing, one little thing. Look at the legislation. If you talk about these issues and you talk about fathers getting equality, well, what happens when they don't live close to each other? Thank you for taking the minority of cases and writing the laws for the minority instead of the majority. They will do everything to block it because the system must continue. If the system doesn't continue, the government doesn't have the money to run some of these programs. In a nation that we're several $trillion in debt, you can't be taking away something that makes billions of dollars and employees are guys. No, let's, instead of changing the laws, let's give bonuses and incentives to make sure that you're paying more. That's what they do, man. That's what they do. For too long, we the people have been too silent. Us brothers, okay? And it's so easy to make it look like a movement doesn't have steam. I've talked about it several times. They can't show up to the rallies. They can't show up to the capitals. They can't walk the streets and say this is what's going on because they're at work. And if he's not at work and he's going through the system, he's going to lose his license and he's going to be in jail. There is no resources for this man to turn to. That's why we create them. That's why Dad Talk. That's why. Let's get through this crap so I don't have to do it anymore. But I'm fired up, man. It's time that people hear what we have to say. Again, the research, everything is on our side, guys. We just got to start presenting it. And your stories are what empowers that. Because just a guy on the screen, another dad, so easy to just say, oh, he's a bitter guy that doesn't want to pay child support. Hell no, man. I paid child support and then went through it and heard, I'm not opening the door for you to see your kid. No, I've been that guy. And I'll be damned if I'm going to pay child support and not be able to see my child. Then the system, guys, this happens all the time. Then the system will say, don't you think the child needs to be supported? You need to keep the money coming in. The system will get involved if there's some money that's not coming in. But when they're blocking me with custodial interference, when they're not letting me see my kids, they're blocking holidays, they're making false allegations. You're sitting at home having your holiday, not worrying about the guy that's not being able to see his kid that's going through it. They only care when it benefits them. Them. War. We are at war. And I declare it, man. I am ready to get our army together because I know you guys are out there. Let's equip you with a platform. Keep those voicemails coming in. As long as they're coming in, I'm going to play them. I will ask you this. Don't give them that one little thing to say, see, you could say 100 things on here that tells people what you're going through. They want the one little thing they can use to discredit you. That's how it goes, dads. This is the cancel culture. How many people's careers have we seen from 20, 30, 40 years ago that an allegation can come up with no evidence and take away everything a person owns and their career? That's the sign of the times that we're living in now. That is the sign of the times. If you don't think it's getting worse, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. Are you guys okay with me doing this? I'm sorry. If I'm going to be on here, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I get fired up. They're going to use that. I've seen that where I get passionate about it, and they'll take a snapshot when I'm like this because I'm trying to get the information out there because the world doesn't want to listen to it. But see, that's who he is. That's who he is. Look at the way he's doing this. Let me tell you something. You take away somebody's kids. You take away their livelihood, their reputation, their money, and let's see how you talk about these issues. Let's see how you talk about them then. And guys, it sucks for them. It sucks for them when they're going through it. You know how many times I've heard from politicians later on that start going through these issues? Oh man, the system's so crooked. We need your help. Where was you when I was asking you for help? Where was you when I was telling you this was the truth, but economy, abortion, and all these other things were better to talk about? You see the ones, I've been to all the Republican conferences, and I'll put Democrats on the spot just as much, but they say, we got to make America great again. How are you going to make America great again until you make the family great again? If you put families at the top of that platform, either of you, and you make the family great again and you clean up this system, you will see this country start to turn around. Those kids need parents. They need parents, not paychecks. You have turned parents into paychecks. And eventually the system catches up. I mean, how many $1 trillion are we in debt right now? Because they put profit over our country. And now they're at a point that if they take away from this system where they're destructing families and making money from it, it's going to get worse for them. It's going to get worse. Imagine that. Imagine that. I'm going to get on to these voicemails. Fired up, guys. My feed cut twice. Microphone not working. How many of these issues can you go through in one damn show? Again, yesterday, almost 1 million people, 1 million followers between the we got 230 views. That's why I tell you, I'm not here to say, hey, come listen to me, listen to our show. Like, share, and subscribe this podcast if you're listening right now. And if you've got one of your brothers that's going through these issues, you need to tell them to be right here lining up. If you want to go to war, we're going to need you guys here. Get in here. I guarantee you, if you're in this community and you've been doing this for years, you know tons of advocates that are going through this. Why are they not here? A lot of these guys have gave up hope. Just like in the system, you do everything you can. You fight, you spend all your money until you're on the last dollar, and you still don't have your kids. Eventually, these guys think nothing is ever going to happen. There is no way we're ever going to fight the system. I have people that tell me that all the time. I don't know why you're talking about it, Eric. It's never going to change. If I didn't think we could change it, I wouldn't be here. Part of changing it is going to be saying the things that men want to say. Because I know you guys want to say it. I know you guys want to say it. But then it becomes a weapon against you. Look at his anger. Look at his emotion. Look at the things he's doing. Again, take away somebody's family. If they don't get upset about that, what can they get upset about? We have a reason to be upset here. You want to take snapshots? Yeah, take snapshots of that anger. Mess with a guy's family. Mess with a guy's family and see what you get. You get this. You get a bunch of guys that end up being damaged goods that don't want to get in relationships anymore. They start going their own way. And I'm going to tell you, I understand why a lot of these guys are going their own way. Do I believe that's the way the world was supposed to be? No. But society has created it. What you're seeing is the consequence. Shh, man, I feel like a freaking Pentecostal preacher. Sweating up in here, man. If I'm going to be on this screen, guys, I'm going to tell you, over the past several years, I've had to wear suits and ties and be so pasteurized, homogenized, sanitized for people to even give us attention. Hey, are you a dad? What's being a dad mean to you? Hey, did you know that these guys are going through this and you got to play the politics and rub the elbows? I remember what I came here for. I'm telling you, a week ago when I heard about these guys that are getting hit and then they feel like they've got nowhere to turn to. Who do they call? The cops? He's getting hit. If he calls the cops, he's going to jail. If he leaves, they're gonna follow. They feel stuck in every single place in this system that they turn to. They feel stuck. If we're gonna be on here, we're gonna be real. It's time for it, man. Get those voicemails into me, 762-441-0281. Let me know if you can hear the voicemails when it starts playing so I can know if I have another technical issue. If not, I'll come back on here again. But let me know if you can hear it.
Hi there, my name's Jesse, calling in from Iowa. I was watching the show and I realized that a lot of people aren't thinking about what happens in divorce when temporary matters occur. For example, in my case and many others, the judge made me pay for both sides' attorneys. made me move out of the home, and then I had to pay for everything down to the maintenance on her vehicle. We had 2 vehicles, and that led me to a stipulation. In the stipulation, she got primary care. I stipulated that she shall not drink around the children, that do not consume mood-altering substances while in the care of the kids. A couple year and a half or so later, she petitioned to move out of state. 9 days or so after petitioning to move out of state, she drove drunk with her 4-year-old in the car, left the other 2 home alone. Police brought them to me. She pled guilty to 3 counts of child endangerment and an OWI. The trial proceeded for her to move out of state. The judge let her do it. In the meantime, DHS had the children placed with me for 80 days due to the event. I filed a petition for emergency relief. The petition for emergency relief, I was requesting the child support be suspended or awarded to me. Judge denied it, said DHS had it handled. In the end, I didn't get their coats that they had. I was asking for their coats. I had to make them come to her. I had to drive them to her supervised visitation. And basically, at that point is when I realized that child support is simply for the state, because her child support award's less than mine. If the child support was for the kids, then when in their time of need they're in DHS placement, why wasn't it at least suspended? I used to think to myself that, well, at least I'm paying for the kid. All I can do is hope that it applies to them. But at that point, I realized it didn't. It was used to pay her criminal fees and for her lawyer to continue on and fighting me in the court. I went pro se in that trial for her moving and lost. The judge says I didn't prove that I had superior care. I argued that she proved that I could provide superior care. And basically, after that, I pulled every order my judge has ever done. There's over 800 of them. No pro se male has ever won, and half of all pro se women have 2 of those, or even against a man with an attorney. Hi there, my name's Jesse, calling in from.
We lost it, man. So you're on screen, right? And you have to make a show about these issues. I'm going to tell you what's going on here while my hair is falling down in the middle of a thing and we're having technical difficulties and everything else. I'm going to make a point on this, or I'm going to make a point on this. Guys, every one of these calls, I can pretty much sum up for you in one sentence, but that wouldn't make a show now, would it? It wouldn't make a show. You got to talk about it. Let's dip down and let's show people how that's working. Let me give you this. Answer me. I want to hear it. If this was on the other side of the coin, if he was mom, would this be happening? Would it? That's politically incorrect. Don't talk about it that way. And what happens, again, for men, the more that they try to get involved. Listen to this. Listen to this. Every time he tries to do the next step in this system, climbing up it, this is your path to fatherhood. Every time I try to go up it, another challenge happens. What does challenges present to these men in the system? Pay up. Pay up. I've heard people talk about before, like, all the men need to just stop paying child support. They can't arrest everybody. I guarantee you they will try, because this system isn't going away without a fight. Without a fight. I am sorry you're going through that, brother. I'm sorry. I mean, so many emotions, but that's the number one thing that comes in my head, because I'm asking, would this happen if it was the other way around. But are we even allowed to talk about that on the screen right now? Think of how politically incorrect that's become. In other terms, if this was happening on the other side, it would be misogynistic, sexist. What do you want to call it? They've got many terms for it. When you talk about it for men, it becomes normal. Normal. I'm going to tell you, I'm a little fired up right now. As you can see, you're about to have a completely brand new dad talk. Okay? I know this is the struggles as a content creator. I had to go get thumbnails made up. I had to get content. I had to get the voicemails and everything. Somebody goes on the first 10 minutes of that show where you guys are saying that the audio is messed up. They're not going to make it to this. And what happens? That voice doesn't get heard. So it's usually good to get these out of the way in the beginning because I can replay them later on at night and go spend time with the family and go amongst my day, because you got to have balance in this fight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check every connection that we've got here, and I'm going to go live at 8 o'clock tonight. And I'm going to bring out some more of what we talked about, because everybody needs to hear this. Everybody. I don't want your voicemails to get passed up. It's not about making a show. Everybody needs to hear what gentlemen like this are going through. John Mass was one of these callers, guys. I want you to think of the importance of this. John Mass was one of these callers. Where is he at now? I visited him a couple of months back at his gravesite. His gravesite. Guy did everything just like this gentleman. Everything turned into more money. You need an expert. You need this. You need this. 3 years in court for an innocent father to prove his innocence and to lose his life. I really want to plant that seed in you guys. This is how important what we're doing is right now. And we do have a gift here. We have a gift here. We have the ability, guys. If you can't show up in person, you can show up here. Keep those stories coming. Okay? I'm going to work my butt off, and I have for the past several years, to keep upgrading this thing. Hell, we even got new overlays. But I want the movement to be represented in the right way. I'm not going to delete this one, even though I don't want anybody getting on there and thinking the representation of Dad Talk is the first 10 minutes. It's hard not to have the tinfoil hat sometimes. Okay? It really is. Let's start speaking what we want the world to hear. Again, be careful. Every time you speak, you have to think of this. Like, how is it going to be received? If I say this, am I going to be canceled? You can't even speak what you want to say without somebody trying to use it against you. That sucks, man. Child support that we've been covering for the past week is probably the one that got people inflamed the most, because it's really where all of this starts. Now, I can just tell you from being in this movement, I was a newbie. I was just a dad that was going through it and said, I'm going to make a show and I want to expose the corruption, because this is corrupt. And everybody tried to prep me. Don't talk about child support. Don't do it. Don't do it. When they hear you talking about child support, they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to listen. Yeah, they will. If that industry thinks that this topic gets hot enough that people are showing up to the dance and they're ready to do something about it, they will listen. Okay? So we're going to do this again tonight. And I'm going to make sure every one of these calls have the audience that it can get. And in the meantime, movement. Do some of those things. How many of you know somebody else that's going through this? I want to hear their voice too. Uplift those voices. We can make a difference if we're there for our brothers. We can. We can. And I'm going to, you know what? This has been a blessing to me because the way we have the platform set up now, we can elevate those voices that have been wanting to be heard. One thing I've learned, everybody wants their story to be heard. One of the reasons I can't keep up with the messages that I've got is because it's usually somebody, you've got to hear my story. My story will blow your mind. It's crazier than anything you've ever heard. The reality is it seems like the same stories repackaged and sent out into society every day. Why? Because the system is operating the way it was designed. Hear me out now. You think that it's uncommon. The system is operating the way it was designed, which is why a lot of your stories are so similar. I see what you say there, Alexander. No, they don't. In order to be a dad, there's so many different places that you're going to have to overcome. And even if you do, you know, I'm one of those dads that I want my kids to wait on dating. I don't want them on social media. I want to keep them away from the cell phones as much as I can. You can't keep them away from everything. But there's certain things I know because when they get on the cultures, guys, have you been on the TikToks? Have you been on some of this crap? It's feeding them these narratives and these agendas, which has caused us to be where we're at. And we're going to sit it in their lap and let them consume it all day long. But if you're a divorced dad and you see a problem with that and you say, hey, I don't want them consuming that, you're controlling. I've got control over here. You're just a visitor. They do what I say. Hey, guess what? Daddy's wrong. You don't have to listen to daddy. What does that teach a kid? You don't have to do what your dad, your parent tells you. And I'm telling you, you're his equal. You can tell him what you do and what you can't do. And that just takes the kid and says, I don't have to have any respect for this man that's looking out for me over here and that loves me. There's another challenge that dads are going through. It's not just being there. It's that when they are there, they're canceled. Is anybody picking up on what I'm saying right now? I want to hear from you. Again, I'm just that guy saying what's coming in my head, but that's what it feels like. Every time I try to be a parent, they're told they don't have to listen to me. Fatherless statistics. Oh, they matter. Oh, they matter. There's a school shooting. It's probably because they didn't have a dad. There's many of these guys that have dads that might have these every other weekend orders, but they might as well not have a dad because nothing that they're saying is being upheld. They've got a stranger in the house that came in afterwards. Hey, I even made, this is not a cheap plug, but I want you guys to know about it. Mighty Mouse. Those are on YouTube, by the way, on the membership levels. Check these things out. You're getting a little bit of that right now, too. Some of you need this one. A lot of you need this one, not that it holds up in court. How many of you would like to see that? How many of them are using this to get this done, getting them nails done? And this one was just for pure humor. You done messed up, Aaron. But going back to Mighty Mouse, here I come to save the day. There is another man in the house that your kids will be getting direction from and will be with more than you, and you're going to pay for that to happen. And you wonder where some of these emotions get mixed up and it boils over. And then we're telling them, you don't have to listen to him. You don't have to listen to daddy. There's more than child support that we're after, guys. It's how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? How far? We're going to have to create a platform in order to get our voices out. Does anybody believe right now that the government is the answer to this? Because I'm going to tell you, You're here because of those laws. If you want to keep chasing the pipe dream, I'm going to find somebody to sponsor it. They'll really fight for this, but then they got to go in that chamber of all those other attorney legislators. We can sit here and speak truth, or we can avoid it. I'm ready. This is my last run at this, guys. I'm going to tell you, I've wanted to quit so many times because the stories, I soak them in like a sponge. I'm seeing people dying. My life can be literal hell when I get off of this microphone because I don't know what I'm going to hear next. And there was many times I went to walk away from it, not because I don't believe in it, but because I couldn't hear it anymore. It feels like we are fighting a losing battle. We can either be real or we can just let it keep happening. If you want to keep walking that same path, if you keep doing the same things that we've always done, that is insanity. Until we get real, guys, until we do what we're doing right now, it's not going anywhere. So I say again, and that's my long way of trying to get out what I'm trying to say. I'm going to come back. We're going to go live again at 8 o'clock. This microphone better be working. If they want to strike me because of the music, I just won't use the music. How about that? Because I want to make sure it's going to be heard. You make sure that you show up with a group of people tonight. And then I want you to tell them to do the same thing. They bring somebody with them. The next day, all of them bring somebody with them. Then the next day, and the next day. Well, why do we do that? Because we need your help. Multi-billion-dollar a year industry. People think a lot of times because we have this big platform that we make this money. I even have people in the movement, dude, trying to put out there I was making $80,000 a month doing this for you guys. We didn't even make $80,000 last year and went to 43 states busting our ass. And it's just to cancel your voice. You're telling truth. Get them away from them. The truth is, I live in a mobile home in Georgia, and I'm doing everything I can to get on here and do this. It would be so much easier. You know what? The political arena loved what we were doing. Maybe I could go make a show about politics. We know they got money. That's not where my heart is. My heart is here with you guys. But in order to keep these resources going, I need you here. That's the things I want to tell you, but I have kept for so long. We get attacked on the same side of the aisle just as much as we do the opposition. The one thing this movement's never done is show up. Strategize. I'm giving you the answer right now. Every one of you, find somebody to show up with. Next show, tell them to do the same. And I'll repeat this every time we go on. Now, you tell me what's going to happen when we get a real million fathers that come together and say, this is what's going down with us. These aren't deadbeats. They're not going to show up here and talk about these issues. Nah. Again, they'll try to take that minority. These aren't deadbeats. These are guys that are fighting, that want to see the laws changed, and they're asking for equality. Don't tell me that won't make a difference. But if you want to keep the pipe dream going and you want to chase after legislation, do it. Who am I? But I'm also not going to keep away my truth from you because I believe it's a part of the problem. I've done it. I went out there. I don't think every bit of that was done in vain. I did meet some good friends. I got some contacts. Look who came on yesterday. She's a beautiful person. Guess what? She's gotten attacked in the media so bad. And I've had to sit back and say, oh my God, that's what it's going to be like, right? Can you imagine if this thing starts taking off? Oh, let's go to Eric Carroll. Did you know he did this, this, and this? Look, man, I was a preacher's kid. Whatever you want to get in my past, do it. And I'll wear it on my sleeve. I'm telling you, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for it. You want to bring the smear campaigns? Bring it. But I'll tell you what else I got. For the past 10 years, I was a loving husband and a loving dad, and I raised my kids right. I ain't afraid of it. Bring it. And I know that's a lot of you guys too. So show up. Bring them with you. Let's go live at 8 tonight. I see Mr. Dwayne down there commenting. You want to come on here? Here's the only thing. When I have a co-host, they can keep me a little bit more leveled out because I tend to do this, this, and this. But I love doing that. Here's where we go, guys. If you want to get to the dance, I'm telling you how to get to the dance. Bring somebody with you. Ladies, if you're here and you're going through it, we want you here too. I don't want to see you try to cancel out these guys when they talk about fathers' rights. There is a bias. And for anybody that denies that, you're lying to yourself. You are lying to yourself. But if you're saying, I'm one of those that's going through it, maybe you were the breadwinner. So it was more profitable for you to get the least amount of time. Or maybe they had somebody that was hooked up in politics. Those cases do happen. We want you here too, but don't cancel my guys' voices. That's when I'll cancel you. Moms that got a son that's going through this, stepmoms that have came in here and's got a husband that's going through it. Talk. We want you here just as much. And I'm telling you, man, those voices, we need them. We need them going out there. We want you here. Don't ever let anybody make you think we don't want you here, because we do. There is a certain type of people. For everybody that has been a victim in this system, there's somebody that's profited, and they show up trying to shut these guys up. Could you imagine when our movement finally shows up? I'd love some backup here, guys. I'd love some backup. Let's go, man. Let's go. And, I don't ever ask for funds. I had to go, and then you start getting attacked with funds, right? I don't know what other organizations do with their funds, but let me tell you something, guys. I went to Florida numerous times last year. I went to Texas about 10 times last year. I was in Baltimore about 10 times, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, New York, Maine, Connecticut. Where you want to go? Nevada. We was there. It cost money to get us there. We had to have hotels. We had to have rental cars. The one thing about Dad Talk is you saw us doing something. I had no reason to go to Nebraska other than fighting for this movement, because I believe in it. I didn't go in there scared. I knocked on strangers' doors, politicians, and said, hey, let me talk to you about something. And we did. And I did see a lot of hearts and minds change, but I also saw just how much more of the battle that we've got. We invited advocates to come out there with us because we wanted to train those people to do legislation. That's the thing. There hasn't been any organization. Most of you guys are at work. If you want to fight against CPS, we need somebody that does nothing but studies up the statistics, knows that system on CPS. You want it to be child support. You need an organization that does nothing but fight on child support and those issues and knows about Title 4D. You want to do false allegations, same thing. Alimony, same thing. You need these organizations that become professionals. And you know who I'll be? I'll be the guy to go out there and raise the flag and say, go check them out. Have somewhere to sign up our guys to where they can get involved. Go check them out. That's what I want Dad Talk to be. Not a podcast. I want to be the one that arms the organizations with the people. Joseph Villarreal, I hope I said that right, said, I get tired of some of the advocates that say we shouldn't talk about the child support issue. That is the driver of why the system is the way it is. Keep this dialogue going, Carol. Can we wipe off the map and say, let's shoot? And when I say shoot, I'm talking about real talk here, man. No BS, real talk. The reason they tell you not to pay or talk about child support is because they're afraid that a legislator is going to hear it. And there's going to be some bells that go off and they're going to say, we're going to lose money if we do something for fathers. And so they want you to go in hiding. And what have our people been doing? Hiding. Imagine that there's a problem out there, but the way to fix it, people say, is not to talk about it. We're even told not to say the word dad. Are you hearing me, guys? I've been told so many times, Eric, you will never get anywhere with it if you say the word dad or fathers. I ain't being who you want me to be. I am a dad, and I'm going as a dad. And I got my brothers here that want to go with me. I was wrong for listening to that. But I wanted to say there's people that's been here before me that's done this. And I want to listen to what they got to say. I want to be moldable. I'm not a leader. I'm not. I'm just a dad. I'm a leader in my home. But I'm a dad that's not getting the chance to be the leader in my home. So I listened. For the past 3 years, I listened to that, Joseph. I said, I'm not going to talk about child support. I'm going to try to say parents because I know that dad's is politically incorrect. No, man. Dad's rights, father's rights, men's rights, the fatherless issue, the suicide statistics. And you're telling them not to speak. Part of the reason those statistics are the way they are is because you've told them not to speak. The worst thing those people could have done was try to destroy this platform with their allegations. So I'm going to tell you, it was a struggle. You know, this time last year, how much money I had in my banking account? $100, man. $100 after going to 43 states and doing the things that I did. I had $100 in my account with a movement making allegations towards me. Why? Because they weren't getting donations, because Dad Talk was going around and bringing the issue. And when somebody does that, there's only so much we can pull from. I have heard all the BS things. Guess what? I don't need your money. I don't need it. I went and found ways to sell cars. I went and found other ways to equip this movement because I know these guys don't have it. I want to hear you organizations do the same thing. And if I'm going to come on here, I'm going to do it my way. My way. I'm a dad. You're a dad. You get screwed in the system most of the time because you are a dad. If you listen to these conversations and you tell me, would this be happening if it was the other way around? And then you tell me it's not a dad's issue. It's not a men's rights issue. Oh, it's, yeah, then stop making it about dads. It's about the children. No. A dad fighting for his rights is about the children. Why do you keep trying to cancel out the dad? Whether it's in legislation, whether it's in the home, when he's trying to be a parent, they try to cancel you every time you turn around. Every time. I don't want to be a part of your movement. I want to be one of my brothers on the front lines. Marching there with you, man. Marching there with you. And I'm ashamed for not saying a lot of this sooner. But again, you got to keep it pasteurized, homogenized, sanitized, because we want to be able to talk to certain people and they might not touch you if you talk about dad's rights or child support. Hell no, man. That's the problem. You can't fix a problem if you're not ready to face it. How many of you are ready to face it? I've seen you. I've seen you in the voicemails. You're ready to talk about this issue. Number one issue, been told not to talk about it. Because you're making it about money. Yeah, that money was bought from time away from a dad that he had to take away from his family in order to provide it. And he's given it to a third party to listen to his story, to go to a judge to get rights that he should have God given to him, and then only get so much time and sit there and watch. You ready for it? Are you ready for it? This guy be the leader in the home. It should be dad, not Mighty Mouse. Watch me get a copyright on that one. I'm not making money off of Mighty Mouse. It was the perfect thing. Like, here I come to save the day. The simp that comes in here and just helps alienate the father. And when he gets in there along with the system and then dad's not getting time, it just makes it that much worse. I'm tired of it, man. I love that one. When I feel this passion that I haven't in a long time, and I think back at all the people that tried to put these challenges and obstacles in our way, for some reason, that's what pops up, because I like putting some funny stuff in between it too. Because if I don't, I'll just sit here and do this for a whole episode, right? And I don't want to show too much frustration, but you done messed up, Aaron. Because we're about to get real in here. And we're going to continue to get real. 8 o'clock tonight. Who's going to bring somebody? Huh? Yeah, Travis. The issue is too many see it as an issue with women. It's not a fight against women. In fact, many women are by our side. We need to be fighting the system, not women. I agree. But let me tell you something. We're not fighting women. There is a certain type of person, guy, that benefits off of this system. And again, this system is working exactly as it was designed. Okay. And so when you hear these stories, again, they're just repackaged, sent out there, and it seems like the same stuff over and over. I can tell you what happened in a lot of these guys' stories before they get it out of their mouth. I can hear the first 5 minutes of that story and know where we're going because the system designed these issues. And so when they say that you're bashing women or you're doing this and bashing moms, that's another form of cancel culture. That's not what we're doing. That is not what we're doing. Look at the behaviors. Look at the things that's going on. One has to pay for it dearly. One becomes a visitor. One is the one that's paying for this system. A lot of times he'll be paying for her attorney. He'll pay for her to be in the house that he worked for. It's not bashing women. It's empowering men to say, what the hell is going on? I'm a married man. I wouldn't be here doing this without my wife. I have one that supports me. I would be a hypocrite if I told you it was a women thing. It's not. But there is a certain type that we are talking about here. And as much as the system is operating the way it was designed, you ready for this, guys? So has feminism. It's working the way it was designed. So is entertainment working the way it was designed. I'm going to tell you, at the very top of this was the dad and masculinity, because if you can get that out, look what we have now. And the only way to fix it, if it can be fixed, is to promote masculinity and promote the father back in the home, because we need parents, not paychecks. Oh, there he goes, making it about money again. I get money, but my ex is never there. He never takes care of her. How many times have you heard that story? The person that will show up, all he gives is money. I did it on my own. I did it on my own. Did you? He gave you that money with sacrifice from his time. But the other side of that coin is, what if people started asking different questions? Rather than taking that story at face value, maybe you should say, well, was he asking about his child? Did you let him get the child? I don't care what the court order says. Did you get along with him? Did you co-parent? Did you allow him to be a dad? When he spoke and said, this is what I would like to see my child doing, did you find a level of compromise, or did you tell your kid that dad was wrong? Because if you told them that dad was wrong, you just took away every level of respect that that kid had for that dad. And then you want him to be a parent. You expect him to be a parent with a child that doesn't have to listen to what he's got to say. And who caused it? Who caused it? Mike Whitney. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. No. There is a lack of masculinity, and there is a lack of people having the conversation that we're talking about right now. Dwayne said, humans are expendable in this system. One constant, men will always strive to work and bring home the bacon. The system is doing what it's designed to do. Yep. You guys want to keep bringing home groceries to somebody that is profiting off of you going through this? Keep going to legislation. Do it. I've seen what it does. I've seen what it does. The game's never going to change if we keep rolling the dice and playing it. But what if we change the game? What if we change the players? What if we change the narrative? It's about changing the narrative. And you guys got to be equipped for that. You guys got to be equipped for that, because when you start speaking up for the system, again, let me find one thing that this guy has in his past that I can use to discredit him. They're not going to look at the here and now. You know what it's like going family court. You'll hear stuff from middle school, high school, stuff that has nothing to do, no relevancy to now, but that's the cancel culture. But if you have your story and you wear it on your sleeve and say, this is what I am, good, bad, and the ugly, but at the end of the day, I am still a father. Now let's hear yours. We got to crush the narratives before the narratives crush us. Yeah. Dwayne said, so people say to dads, why did you not fight harder for custody? The reply, why should I fight to see our child there? Should be no fight. That is the truth, guys. That is the truth. You know, as I'm going through this book, I don't want to just make a book. I want to say what I want to say. And I wanted to think about that. The whole constructive family court in the first place. Why are dads having to fight at all? If we talk about equality and we believe in his role, why are you making it a fight? And you, legislation, you, family courts, you, attorneys, you, experts, you made it about money. Are you going to fight for him and get some resolve without the money? No. But let's shame them when they talk about the money. Perfect plan, evil. They've done a damn good job of it, guys. When you sit back and you think of it, they've done a damn good job of it. Yes, Tom. He said in your own words, Eric, a right, not a fight. That's what it is. Somebody was talking about, them bringing up the past. Dude, what does it say about somebody when they've got to talk about you and the only thing they can bring up is something from your past? That's somebody that can't touch your present. And unfortunately, there's a lot of these things, just like I say with these guys, they just want peace. There's a lot of these mistakes guys made in their past that they've grown up and they've gotten past, and they just want peace from it. They learn their lesson. They're not going to do it again. But then again, nobody's perfect. They might make some more mistakes, but if they're a good dad, fit, willing, and able, they shouldn't have to be talking about this. But you guys will have to defend yourself from some of this. I'll say this. You talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. I'm years separated from this. 15 years ago, I dealt with substance abuse. I was one of these guys going through a marriage where I didn't feel like I mattered. I never heard I looked good. I never heard I did anything right. I'd even forgave affairs multiple times, had been committed, and I was doing everything I could to keep my family together. I got into substance abuse. That's no excuse. I'm the one that made the choice. I made the choice to mask it instead of trying to face it, because when I tried to face it, it became too hard. Okay, that's why I think you see a lot of these guys with the suicide. Every time they try to face their problems and they feel like the system is against them, they feel like there's not going to be any relief. We tell our men, you need to man up and you need to face your problems. What happens when they man up and try to face their problems? It creates more problems. This system creates more problems, more obstacles, more arguments, more money. And so they put on things and take on other responsibilities, or they take on things to just be able to get through it. But 15 years clean and sober, guys, and I am proud of it. I've had people try to use my addiction, my challenge that I overcame. 15 years later, they'll bring that up. And see, what they don't understand is, look what I'm doing with you guys right now. I'm talking to you about it. That doesn't hurt me. I know what I was, and I know how hard it was for me to change. And I did it. And you know how I did it? It was seeing my daughter after she was born to say, Eric, we got to change, man. We got to start facing the problems. I can show you pictures from back then, dude. I looked like I was knocking on death's door. And I was a lost guy that had a lot of pain, and I didn't know how to talk about it. Ashamed. I'm in a relationship that I don't know who they're with, what they're doing, but I'm here trying to keep my family together. Ashamed. I didn't want nobody to know that. For years, I couldn't tell you that somebody committed an affair on me. Ashamed. But then they say it's ego. Oh, it's ego. It's pride. Look, his pride's getting in his way. Let me tell you something, brother. So when you take away everything from a man, his family, his money, resources, everything, sometimes their pride's all they got left. It's the last thing they're holding on to. And then they want to strip that from you too. But they'll say, oh, it's pride, because they don't want you to have that either. But I'll still hear somebody bring that up. Do it. It empowers me. What, you're talking that I had a struggle that I overcame? Do you know how hard it is to overcome? A lot of those guys never overcome it. I tell you what, if people started asking questions, nobody was born wanting to be a drug addict. What was causing that guy up here to think that was his only? The only thing he could do. They're dealing with something up here, man. And when these men don't have anywhere that they can go and talk, where these dads don't have any resources that they feel like anybody's going to listen to them, where if he doesn't pay the amounts that the system's telling him to, he's going to lose his license, he's going to end up in jail. They mask their problems. They have to. They have to. Man, this feels good. When you feel like you're having, I can't talk about child support. I can't talk about dads. I feel like every little thing we're going to do, they're going to look bad at us because we're dads and we're talking about this system that they love so much. When you're doing that, man, sometimes you struggle for the words, guys. You don't know what to say because, let's be honest, they're not going to listen to it anyway. But when I can come and do this, dads, when I can be one of you, I don't struggle for my words. I'm just walking in the same footsteps a lot of you guys are. Walking in the same footsteps, man. Try to be a dad going through family court. Try going and talking to one of these attorneys and see what was told. I did not long ago. $400 to consult. You want legitimation? $4,000 to $10,000. That's just the first part. That doesn't give you rights to your kids. All that does is sign you up on child support. So if you can scrape up every penny you got to pay me to get you signed up on child support, and then we're going to start taking that every month, then you can find more money to pay me at $400 to upwards of $1,000 an hour. Dude, I've heard some astronomical amounts. Then we'll go see if we can get your kid. Oh, but if they fight, if they make conflict, if they say an allegation and you got to do this, it could take another year or two in court. And you're going to have to pay me that $400 an hour. You might have to pay for their attorney, okay? If they end up doing this, you might end up paying for their attorney, who's just going to make more conflict because they know that you're on the hook for it. And at the end of the day, you might not get rights to your child. Or if you do, we're going to put you on supervised visitation at $100 to $400 an hour. I don't know. All it is money, 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 money. It's what keeps the system going. That's what you're telling dads to go through. We have become a paper mill. We have become Paychecks. That's what we are. Let's be honest. We became Paychecks. Look at all the different cogs in the wheel. CPS, domestic violence, child support, alimony, attorneys, judges, experts. You know how many people, when I first got here, thought that getting experts was going to be the answer. If I can get them in there and show that parental alienation is happening, the court's going to listen to it. They know what's going on. One of the crappiest answers I get from politicians all the time and attorneys and everything, you need to go educate the judges. Well, there might be that one that'll listen to you. These are people that operate inside of this system every single day, that get incentives, Title 4D money. You've got to go educate them on that. Yeah, go educate them that the system loses on that money. See how many people that base their careers off of this are going to want to change it when you talk about that. Great answers, guys. Great answers. Let's cancel. There's too much truth. Cancel them. Cancel them right now. There's something I did in 7th grade right now. Yes, I snuck out that day and smoked cigarettes in the boys' room. Yes, I did it. Okay? It's coming. Maybe my feet will get cut. We got to find another way for you guys to show up. You guys that are on Facebook, are you subscribed on YouTube? You guys that are on YouTube, have you subscribed on Facebook? You guys are on both of those platforms. Have you subscribed on Rumble? I'm on Rumble too. I can do it there. I can talk a little bit more over there because there's other things that you parents are going through. I can't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Not because I don't want to do it. We've gotten parents in here that are in jail right now because they went to take matters in their own hands. And let me tell you, I don't condone violence, but I understand how some of these guys are getting to their breaking point and feel like they have no other thing. And then we can't cover those. Why? We're in the cancel culture, guys. We are in the cancel culture. You got to watch every little thing that you do. It's easy for advocates to say, do this, do this, do this, do this. Okay. You don't have to come up with the money to do it, even to be on StreamYard doing what I'm doing right now, in creating this platform where everything costs. And we have been fighting with pennies. And I think we've done a pretty good job fighting with pennies. But it's a war, man. And they don't see the challenges that come along with it. You know, the biggest critics are sometimes the ones that usually do the least. The ones that usually do the least. They got all the answers behind family law, or where the hell are you when we show up to these capitals? Where the hell were you when we was asking for assistance to help get out people's stories or making documentaries that we didn't even sell? Look at I Stand With John, dude. We didn't even make a penny off of it. I didn't put that behind a paywall. I put that out there, and for somebody that hasn't seen it, go watch it. Why? Because John Matt's story has it all. CPS, domestic violence, allegations, a murder. It has it all in there. Somebody that doesn't understand this system, show them that documentary. That documentary was meant to equip this movement, not to make money. But if you don't make money, how do you make content? Right? That's why I don't ask for donations, but we need them. We need them. Did you see what we did last year? You want to know where your money's going to? I'd ask the same for everybody else. What were they doing with their money? Where was we? New York, Maine, Rhode Island, Illinois, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, Idaho, Washington State, Las Vegas. We was everywhere, man. And that came because people believed in this fight. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to ask for any more donations to go and fight that fight. I just want you guys to show up. The reality is, if you show up here, we have what we need. Somebody said any other states trying that garbage. Guys, the rabbit hole goes deep. I am in a meeting later on today with a dad's group in Australia. One thing I'll have to give Australia, you know, we had one of their senators on the show to tell us about the problems that's going on over there. If you text your ex and say, hey, can I see my child? That is considered as domestic violence. It's way beyond the states, guys. Scotland, Switzerland, I have talked to every one of them, but I am meeting with a group in Australia so we can put some sunshine on this thing. Imagine if we had a worldwide movement. Imagine if all of those guys are showing up. It gets a little hard because right now we're during the day. It's at nighttime for them. I think they're probably asleep right now. So we have to meet a little bit later on, but there is always a way that we can organize, right? Imagine if those guys say, hey, I'm going to one more person. You show up. Everybody at 8 o'clock tonight, man. I'm telling you, I only went through that one voicemail. We're going to go through the voicemails tonight, and I hope I'm in this same mood. I'm a little bit more fired up when I got my coffee in me to get on here and rattle off, but I'm going to do it. Show up. Make sure you're bringing somebody. That's the answer. I do believe it. So many people want to do these marches. And then what happens is nobody shows up because those guys are at work. But if you don't promote it, you're a scam artist. You're not doing. No, we're telling you, you are doing the opposite of what needs to be done for this movement. Because when you tell people that you're fighting for millions and you don't have millions showing up, you start to look like a fraud. That's what looks like a fraud. You're not going to be able to get these guys to the Capitol. Maybe one day. Maybe if we could get some sponsors that sponsored their time off from their job and this child support and alimony, we could get them to show up. But that's the realities behind this movement. This is one of the biggest issues out there, man. Where is our guys? Where? I know you're out there. I know you're out there. I know there's a lot of people that watch the show that don't ever comment because they're afraid of it being taken and put in their court case. Challenges everywhere you turn. But you can't be afraid to face Goliath, man. I'm going to tell you, David did it. David did it. Goliath fell. And somebody's saying, I'm not religious. Here he goes. It's okay. I'm just using the analogy. The little tiny guy that beat with a slingshot. This podcast is my slingshot, man. And I know I'm facing a giant. I know I'm facing a giant. But I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Because I know what I'm fighting for. I'm not scared of these guys. I'm not scared of these guys. I like this. Where was it? Hold up. Rob Ramos said, I'm working right now with a saw in my hand. I don't know if that's a good job or a good thing, Rob. It's funny. Get the saw going. I thank you for being here, dude. That's a sacrifice, man. That's a sacrifice. The prequel, $5. Respect. Thank you. Guys, get in there on those membership badges on YouTube. I made them. The Mighty Mouse and Title 4D and Messed Up Aaron, prenups. It was just something to make it a little bit fun because I'm going to have to mix some comedy in here because we can't have our guys just fighting this war inside their head. We've got to be able to fight these issues and at the same time make it inviting because we're not a community with victim mentality. We are fighting real battles here and they need somewhere. It's not just enough to be finding some relief from the system. Come in here where you can find people that relate to you, that you can laugh with. I had somebody that got mad at me like a couple of weeks ago. This is some of the crap you go through. Eric, you put a meme on there talking about a fart. I don't know if that looks good for the movement. Dude, God made those farts. You're telling me you're a Christian that's going to church? God made them. It's the most hilarious thing out there. You don't like it if it's not your own, but it's okay to laugh, guy. It's okay. If you don't laugh at that, what are you going to laugh at? Right? It's humor. And don't tell me those ain't funny. They're funny. And I want to see some of you guys laughing because I know a lot of you haven't done it in a long time. C-Dog, Title 4D is unbelievable. Think about that, guys. Think about that. The system gets money off of your money. And in order to get more money, you have to pay more money. There's people that have come on here. This amendment does this. This amendment does this. Let me read you the law. And they don't even realize, dude, it's going in people one ear and out the other. Some of these advocates are so fired up and they're smart, dude. Some of them are so freaking smart, but nobody listens to them. And I hate to tell you that. It's because you're not getting the delivery out there. People want to relate to you. And sometimes you have to dumb it down. That's the reason why we're going through this. This is a very complicated system in the first place. It's so complicated that the normal person doesn't know what the hell is going on. But imagine if you just told them like that. They get a percentage of child support. And the more money that parents pay, the more money that they make. Is that not it in a nutshell? Yes, there's going to be twists and turns off of that, processing fees and all that. But what if you could just get that one line into every heart and ear and everybody in America? What change would that make? I believe that the outside world, the ones that we're going to need cooperation from, if we want to ever get this movement anywhere, if they hear that there is somebody making an incentive off of child support are going to be upset. Think about the way. Jason, I had to leave for about 25 minutes for work. I get back and you're still on. Awesome preaching. I always said, dude, I would never be a preacher. I came from that church where they got up and they danced and everything, which, yeah, if you've ever been to a Baptist church, I'm sorry, guys, I'm not putting down your church. It's easy to go to sleep. It's easy to go to sleep at church no matter what, but at least there was a little liveliness. And I said I'd never be a preacher. What the hell am I doing right now? I might not be preaching the organized religion, because you know what? Don't get me on that. The church is just as much responsible for this too. They pass around the offering plate every Sunday. When's the last time you heard them talk about these issues? Do you know how many people they could help while they're building those big buildings and they're passing around those offering plates, feeding the hungry, feeding the sick, maybe counseling with somebody? Anybody that's going to church, anybody that's going to church and putting money in the offering plate, tell me, why are you going there on Sunday, but you have to go pay somebody to be a marriage counselor for you when these issues happen? Or you're going through parental alienation, you got to go pay a counselor. These churches have failed. Dads, you pray to God the Father every Sunday, but you don't mention the Father in the household, the one that's fighting these wars. You know what? Jesus flipped those tables over, didn't he? Because he said, what's going on here? That's what I'm doing with this show today. When it comes to family law, when it comes to the churches, everybody in society, it's time to flip the tables over. I put my crickets on there. Flip the tables over, guys. Something's going on here, and nobody's wanting to do anything about it. And we're still going to be strategic, and our strategy is there's problems. Don't talk about them. Don't mention dads. Don't mention child support. Don't mention these things. Bullshit. Yeah, I cussed. See, a preacher wouldn't do that. But bullshit. There's advocates disguised as advocates because they really don't want this movement getting anywhere. They don't want this movement to take off. They don't want you to hear what I'm saying right now, because you threaten that establishment. You threaten the current status quo. When we start telling our guys that the problem is the system in the first place, and we stop telling them how to fight in the system. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to record. This is what you need to do. And this is going to cost you how much money per hour. That's the system they want you to keep. And that's the system that I want to crumble. That's the system I want to crumble. Nobody should have to be paying for this. Nobody. That's your kids, man. My kids don't have a price tag. Go ahead, call me a deadbeat. You see what it does to me? That don't affect me. I will fight. I will travel every state in this country. I've made it all the way up to the president of the United States. What politician do you want to talk to, man? I would love to debate those guys. I don't want to be a politician, but I'd love to get on that stage, because they're never going to say anything of substance. They only do what they think is going to get money and votes. They're fake. They are fake. Everything else on social media, talking about these issues. If you want to know where the substance comes from, look at the price tag. Somebody that's got any type of solutions for what we're going through here. First, get the invoice. What's your invoice? I don't have an invoice for doing what I'm doing right now. And there is people that are going to look at me as the biggest idiot and say, oh, look at him hollering and doing all the things he's doing. I ain't worried about it. I know what I'm fighting for. But what's your invoice? What's their invoice for them to help you? Stop paying the invoices, guys. Stop it. If they were experts, they'd be trying to solve it. They'd be trying to solve it. If they were real politicians, if they were real leaders, they would be talking about this. If they were real churches and they wanted to see things getting better, they'd be talking about this. There's so many people that don't want to talk about the issues. We're going to talk about the issues. I'm going to talk about the issues. And I hope you guys do too. Funny thing, I tell you guys not to show too many emotions because we got to watch how we're doing it. Man, I went off the rails with that today, didn't I? This has been eating me up inside. Eating me up inside. Do I say what I want to say to these guys or what? I'm doing exactly opposite of everyone that was before me right now and having the conversation I'm having with you. How long have they been fighting this fight? How long do you guys want to keep fighting this fight? I don't know about you guys. Do you enjoy sitting here talking about family law? Is that we want to be famous? We want to, dude, do you enjoy doing this? Because I damn sure don't. I don't. But you know what? You get one life, man. I guess God gave me this problem for a reason because he knew I was the guy, rock and roll rebel, that said, no, sir. You're saying this is what I have to do to be a dad. I've raised several kids and I put out good human beings. I gave them the roadmap for life. Sometimes we don't always see to eye, but they always come back and say, I know daddy did it for a reason because he loves me. Because he loves me. And I know I can do it. But you're saying in order for me to do it for this one, go through the system. Here's the price tag per hour. Show me that you're a good father. It must feel pretty good to think that you can tell people they have to prove something for their God-given right. The fact that the courts exist in the first place, guys, it's a farce. It is a farce. There is going to be cases that need to go through family law. There is. And that's what it should be. You're there to decrease the conflict, help these parents get along so that they can turn around and co-parent and raise their kids. That's simple. And there's some of those that no matter what you do, it's not going to happen. But in many of these cases, if you can say, mom and dad, you're equal. I want you to both to use your money to do this. You're going to go on. You're going to get new spouses. You're going to live new lives. We no longer want to do it as a family unit. We are recognized. There's going to be two different places that's going to do it. Each person do their part. Go on. Go co-parent. I guarantee you that system works much better than the system that you got. How much you want? I got my whole banking account, which ain't much. I got my whole banking account riding on it. That system right there works. But you got to get those little cogs in the wheel, right? Because people think shared parenting is the answer. And that's one of the reasons that we have to watch what we're talking about on here. Shared parenting is not the magic bullet, guys. Yes, there should be shared parenting. Yes, there should be 50-50. But as long as the bias exists against you guys, do they listen when you speak right now? So what makes you think that when shared parenting is passed, they're going to listen to anything that you say then? What makes you think that false allegations are going away? There's a lot of these guys that got 50-50 and they're paying the same amount in child support as when they got every other weekend. What makes you think that that one little piece of legislation is going to change this movement? There's many cogs to this wheel. Oh, but we got to change it a little bit at a time. You don't know how this works, Eric. You're reinventing the wheel. You damn right I'm going to reinvent the wheel. We can change that system all the way at the same time if we get our people here and we stop talking BS and we be real dads and say, enough is enough. We're not going to take it. Dwayne, here, I had 50-50 and still paid $1,000 plus benefits. 50-50 is not the magic answer. And anybody that's telling you it is, man, no. As long as this bias exists, we are up against a losing battle. You hear me? And don't tell me that we can't fight it. Tonight, bring somebody with you. I want you to tell them the same thing. Don't just tell them to show up tonight. Tell them to bring somebody with them. Watch this thing grow. I've had a couple of shows on Dad Talk where that happened. That's why I tell you, like, share, and subscribe. It's the algorithm. Until you're like, share, and subscribing and commenting, they don't deem it as popular. But as you do it, it just starts opening up. You know, I remember when the Johnny Depp trial happened, 36,000 live viewers we had on Dad Talk. They were our audience. They were our audience. We got it here. It's almost 500,000. But we had to say this video is popular. Our people came here because they want to hear our content. But unfortunately, it's gonna rely on the few of you that do get to make it in here. Make sure that you're feeding that algorithm, because this has got to get out there. I can't put passion like this behind the camera every single day. I want to, but if we had our people here, man, we got to get some help. We got to start training some of our guys. Saul said the root of the problem is male-female conflict. I agree. Well, again, it's kind of the perfect plan. Divorce isn't going anywhere. It's here. It's here. Marital problems, co-parenting problems, it's not going anywhere. Again, why hasn't there been legislation? Or why hasn't there been something there to decrease the conflict? You know, when you go into family court, you're not there to pay compliment to the other person. I want to pull out the little black book. I want to open up the skeletons and let's see anything we can get in their past to bring out who they are. That is somebody that you love, that you shared an intimate moment with in the bed. Some of you, maybe not. Maybe it was one night stands, but a lot of you guys, it was somebody you loved and you shared yourself with them to the ultimate sharing. You made a child with them, and you probably sat down and told them everything about your life because you love them. You want them to know who you are. And then you find yourself going through family court, and all of that trust and all of that communication just becomes baseballs being lobbed at your face. You did this, you did this, you did this. And it has nothing to do with who you are now. And then that's what the family courts does. They start throwing those baseballs. And so you have to defend yourself. You have to defend yourself. I'm not that guy. I'm a good dad. I'm a good dad. And they increase conflict. They know the conflict is there. It's the perfect plan. It's all based on conflict because the conflict creates cash. That's it. I've got a meeting. I've got it in like 5 minutes from now. And I am so cottonmouth from this, guys. Damn, it feels good to be back. I don't even feel like I ever got to do this part of Dad Talk in the beginning because I got into the politics so early, thinking that I had to be this certain person to get traction in this movement because that's what I was told. This is Dad Talk. And I'm glad you're here today. And I hope you'll be here tonight and the next day and the next day and the next day. And if you can't make it, make sure there's somebody out there that can. This is an episode, one of my longer ones, an hour and 40 minutes, and it probably isn't going to matter because most people aren't going to make it through those first 10 minutes of where my audio was messed up. Mike Simmons, check this out, man. Been gagged for 8 months, just got back online, and it's so good to see you, Eric Carroll. Let me tell you something. This is a guy that rode, like, I think 4,000 miles to go see his kids, and then when he gets there, you can't see him. Because he spoke out about his issues on social media. He's been canceled, gagged. You can't speak. Imagine going through these issues and being told you cannot speak. It's time to get the megaphone out, guys, and pass it around. That's what we're doing with these voicemails. I'm going to play those voicemails tonight. Have you got your voicemail in yet? 762-441-0281. I'm going to say it again, 762-441-0281. Those broken down warriors, those broken down dads that have been sitting here fighting behind this movement for years and think it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We've been doing this for so long, and it's the same stuff over and over, so I just can't do it anymore. I'm telling you, come back. Get in the fight. This is my last hurrah with it. If it don't happen this time, it ain't going to happen. And I don't want to be a leader of a movement. Well, I don't. But God bless America. I'm ready. I'm ready to go on the front lines, and I want you there with me. Okay? Come back. I know you've been made many promises. I know you're tired of the fight, but we got to keep on hanging in there, Dad. We are up against evil, and it is your kids that are at stake. It's your grandkids. For anybody that doesn't understand this movement, take this and Listen to it. Give it to your sons. Give it to your daughters. Let's cure it for the next generation, because we are facing an evil unlike anything you've ever seen. And I tell you, I'm afraid we're getting to the point where it's going to be really hard to put it back in the box. It's going to be really hard to put it back in the box. No time for messing around. None. Okay? I need you here. 8 o'clock. I'm going to see if you show up. I'm going to be paying attention. I know these names. Look at me. When I'm reading those comments, I know their stories. I consumed them, man. Nobody paid me to sit down and hear about Mike Simmons. No, let me go through these comments. I know Dwayne Ward. Of course, he's been on the screen, but I found him through this battle. I knew about the pissed off parent. Julie, I've been talking to you for a very, very long time. Where do you want to go? I'm just going through this. I noticed all of these names, man. Mike Whitney, my brother. I know you guys. I know the stories. And we've got some more brothers out there that need to be here. Okay? That's what I'm asking you. It's time to get real. I'll see you tonight.